Hiya, and welcome back to Password, the game that teaches us that the yeen can fall asleep anywhere. And he does fall asleep anywhere. The world is his bed and pillow. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Oh, you won't be hearing any Christmas music from me for a while. Well, for a minute. Ah, shit. My eyes widened as I looked from Sal to Ty. His jaw was clenched, gripping his coffee tightly as he stared Sal down. He didn't say anything, but he for sure was sizing Sal up. The problem was, though, that Sal was taller and broader, not to mention a lot more solid. So you can either help, or perhaps make him feel a bit better, like I'm trying to do. Or you could do me a favor and drink your coffee quietly while we figure things out. Sal, is that? Ty knocked back the rest of his coffee before slamming the mug down on the counter. It was a wonder that it didn't break. Fuck you! Hang on, let me read it. Fuck you! No, that's too high. Fuck you! I can help plenty! Good. Hiya. Oi, Dave! Where do we start? I blinked, surprised that Tyson had been coerced into helping us so easily. Not that I wasn't thankful, but I hadn't seen Tyson react like that before. Not directly, at least. Oh, well, I guess the freezer? He stomped over to the freezer and started looking over the door, trying to open it. What's up with this door? Why is it so hard to open? It shouldn't be. Well, it is. Hang on, adjusting my microphone. I will never be happy with its positioning. Well, it is. Maybe you're just doing it wrong? Yeah, right, like I don't know how to open a fucking door. I don't think he's doing this wrong. I remember Orlando mentioning something about the freezer door getting stuck sometimes the following morning. The following morning after what? That's, we should probably tell him. Tell me what? Oh, when I messed with the vault? Specifically, he's talking about finding me sleepwalking. Sal unintentionally manipulated. No! I've never done that. Finding me sleepwalking. Huh? You sleepwalk? I thought that didn't exist. Apparently it does. Right, which is why, freezer. Huh. Well, that does explain something. Explain what, though? Yeah, ran into you one night just wandering about. Assumed you were just getting a glass of water or something. What, me? Wandering around? Yeah. Not that you said anything, just grunted and continued on your way. When was this? Shit, I don't remember. A week ago, maybe? Well, maybe you were sleepwalking then, Sal. It's possible. I believe that's around the time that I took some medication, assuming we're sure that's what the cause is. You have medication for sleepwalking? Damn it, Tyson! Hydration. Hydration. You have medication for sleepwalking? For sleeping, but not specifically for sleepwalking. It's a side effect, probably because it's for, it's Dean's medication. Why would Dean have medication that makes him sleepwalk? Did you just ignore the part where he said it was a side effect? Still, he has trouble sleeping, and so do I, at least recently. I don't think I've really got a proper answer as to why. You struggle with sleeping normally? Only since arriving here. Dean's thing is more, ongoing. Yeah, I've gotten the gist of it from him already. Didn't know that he took medication for it, though. He told you? Well, I guess the situation is a bit more complicated than mine, but hiya. Maybe I've just been stressed out a bit. With how you looked the other night, yeah, no shit. If I'd known you were stressed, I would have told you to go chill for a bit. Oh shit! Oh shit! Fuck! Goddamn, Tyson! Damn! Fucking pack of chicken nuggets? Oh, Ty. Oh, Ty. Sal looked at me slowly, eyes wide. It took me a few moments before I'd clued into what was exactly wrong. Was this how we ended up in the freezer? What? Chill? Freezer? Give me a break. No way you'd take that to mean go freeze to death in the freezer. maybe, but still. Perhaps he's right. Who, Ty? Right, there would be a chance that could happen. But if someone wanted me there intentionally, it'd be better just tell me that, right? Well, yeah, but you said in the greenhouse. I gestured to my neck, hoping you'd get the message. Right, and I still agree. Agree on what? Orlando and Dave are under the impression that when sleepwalking I will follow directions. So if someone really wanted to kill me, Sal lazily pointed to a knife block sitting on the counter. Yeah, that'd do it. Why are you looking at the freezer instead of knives? That's just what I saw. If I'd seen a knife or something, that'd be more of a clue, but like, all I got was Sal frozen, without a shirt. You reckon hypothermia? Fucking slow way to kill someone if you ask me. Seems like an accident that happened. It could have been an accident, but I don't think it was. Oh yeah? Why not? This panel that controls the temperature, it's not set low enough to kill someone currently, even me. You can't deal with the cold? He doesn't have fur like us, Ty, so kinda. Well, shit. I'll count my blessings that you found me when you did, Dave. Hiya. That must have been one cold winter. I flashed Ty a quick smile and placed a hand on his shoulder. So, where does that leave you? Someone catches sleepwalking, goes and messes with the control panel, hopes you don't wake up. Whoever set this up sucks at planning murders. Right, maybe it was an accident. Sal shook his head, tapping the cover of the control panel. I don't think so. To set this slow enough, you need to break this panel. It's screwed in place, so unless you unscrewed it or broke it, you wouldn't be able to do much with it. Huh. Good to know. So if someone would have deliberately set it like this, but the knives, they'd be right here. What if I was already in the freezer? And they couldn't open the door? Don't look at me, I didn't do it. Well, no one did, right? What, you think I fucking did it? No! Of course not. It's just a door! I wouldn't do it, you can't prove shit! You seem kinda suspicious, Tyson. Tyson, enough! Last person that would blame you is Dave. Sal grabbed Tyson roughly by the arm, glaring at him. He was caught off guard, trembling. He grunted soon after yanking his arm away. Yeah, sorry. But I wouldn't do it. Too much work. He wandered off, pouring himself more coffee as I turned to Sal. Who else could it be, though? Someone that wouldn't know about the freezer door, likely, so that rules out Orlando. I have no reason to think that if he wanted me dead, that he wouldn't opt for a knife. Even after, well... His confession? Right. If he was that upset, he wouldn't resort to the freezer, and he knows how to use a knife. The fuck does he know how to use a knife like that? Oh, because he cooks so often, right? Sal looked me over, going to say something a couple of times before shaking his head. Regardless, it's not him. I keep forgetting that Dave doesn't know that Orlando's family is a bunch of murderers. They're a bunch of... fuck, what was it? Mob bosses. Mobs. The mob. Mafia. Regardless, it's not him. Well, great, then who's left? Anyone that doesn't know about the door getting jammed? Or anyone that is not strong enough to force the door open? Reckon Dean could bust down the door? Why Dean? I don't know. Figures that if anyone could bust it open, it'd be him, right? I don't think Dean's a culprit either. Okay, but why? Dean's my best friend. I'd trust him with my life. Kind of the point, right? Makes a good enough opportunity. That's not very nice, Ty. He's right, though. If Dean ever did plan something like that, I probably wouldn't question it until it's too late. Well, shit, this is a wake-up call, Dave. You ever try anything like that on me, and I'm fucked. I chuckled, a combination of flattered and worried as to how serious Ty was being. So that leaves, Roswell, Haas, probably not Benson. Wait, really? Just those two? Unless we want to include you and Tyson on that list. The fuck is wrong with you? I said I didn't do it. But you could have. Nothing happened, but who's to say that you didn't at the time want me dead? Trust me. If I wanted anyone dead, they'd know. They'd know, and then I'd just fucking kill them. I shrank a little, taking a step back from Ty to be closer to Sal, almost using him as a wall. Shit, no, that's not what I agree. Huh? That's the problem, though. The intent on killing someone is going to come out of nowhere, if at all. None of us seem to be looking to kill anyone, at least no one that I've spoken to. I frowned, wondering if Oswin had been the one behind it. He couldn't have, right? Had he met Sal at some point and just decided? And you've spoken to everyone, right? Right, all 8 of us. The 7 of us plus Benson. I nodded slowly, scratching my neck. You guys go talk to Roswell or Haas? Maybe one of them wants to do you in. Well, we can possibly rule out Roswell, right? We can. Well, the control panel, right? I don't think he'd be able to reach it. See, it's funny. See, it's funny because Roswell's short. Why did I find this funny? Sal looked from the ground to the panel, almost measuring the distance. Which leaves Haas. Locking someone in a freezer doesn't seem like his style either. When being short is finally useful. Oh, thank you, Amethyst. It's surprisingly useful. Believe me, in my experience, because, like, believe it or not, up until, like, I was in high school, I was actually short. Like, I was one of the shortest students there. I was short. It was to the point where, I remember in English class, we were studying Braille. I was the only one in that classroom who could not reach the bathroom sign. The teacher had to lift me up just so I could reach it. I was like 8 or 9. I was 8 or 9. I can't might have been 7. I can't remember. I don't even think I reached 5 foot until I was like 11, 12, maybe. I can't fucking remember. Which leaves Haas. Locking someone in a freezer doesn't seem like a style either. You really think so? Seems like a safe way to murder someone. Yeah, and you reckon that cat would be likely to do that given the anime he watches? You've been watching anime with him? You should ask to join the anime club Orlando runs when you get a chance. This isn't about me. Shut up. Point is, Haas doesn't seem like the type to do things that way. I think we can rule him out. I looked between the two of them, wondering where that left us. But that rules out everyone, so then maybe you imagined it, maybe it was an accident. Doesn't fucking matter because it didn't happen. Just let it go. You'll be fine. I whined and Sal put a hand on my shoulder. He needed the spot he held me by, waiting for Tyson to realize. So, you will be fine, right? I think so. Well, good. I think. I'm gonna go hang with Haas. Catch you later. Ty topped off his coffee and bailed, leaving Sal and I in the kitchen. Dave? Yeah? We didn't get very far, did we? We never do, buddy. I don't think so. Would anyone even have a reason to kill you? Not that I know of. We returned the axe, so I think that should be in everything. Unless it's a case of something else someone thinks I've done. But I'd be open to talking it out first. I wandered closer and tried to squeeze Sal as hard as I could. He returned in kind, making me squeak. Did I hurt you? Oh, no, it was just a little tighter than I was used to. You're, very firm. We love you, Sal. We love you. There was a loud rumbling in Sal's chest for all of a moment before he looked at me. It was cute. I liked it. I laughed nervously, stepping away and resting back against the counter. Sorry, it's just something that I must have picked up from my dad. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so. It's just something I've always done, really. Well, I like it. It's very specific to you. Maybe that makes you more special. Sometimes I'd rather just be normal, Sal. Sometimes I feel like everything would be easier if I wasn't any different from anyone else. Do you really think that? To me, that seems like a bit of a waste. You can do things I can't, and I can do things you can't. That means together we can do extraordinary things. Like what? Follow me. Sal led the way towards the foyer before heading towards the back door. We stepped out onto the back deck and Sal wandered down the steps to stand upon the lawn. Okay, now look up. As I did so, I saw were clouds moving slowly through the sky. What do the clouds look like to you? Straining my eyes to make out shapes, it was hard to pick anything out specifically. Nothing? Nothing specific at least, but I wasn't really all that good at making stories up for my sister. She'd get me to tell her what the clouds looked like and she'd weave together something. It rarely made sense, but that was part of the fun. So what do you see? I watched as Sal looked upward, scanning the sky with a frown. His eyes slowly widened before he shot me a quick look. Mostly just rabbits. That's mostly because of them being white. Not sheep? Too pointy. Sal is straightforward. I keep saying it, but Sal is straightforward and I love it. Too pointy. We stared at each other for a bit in silence before I realized what Sal was implying earlier. Oh, a story about rabbits? The only one I think I remember is the one where the rabbit is always running late. Oh, I know that one. I like to imagine that his pocket watch was just running a little too fast. Is that why he was late to tea? They weren't late. They were celebrating their birthday, I think. I thought that was a different rabbit. Sal started to laugh and it was contagious enough that I started to follow suit. I didn't expect it to make me feel better, but it did. We stood around for a while, just watching the clouds before Sal cleared his throat. We should probably head inside for lunch soon. Really? Have we been at it for that long already? Long enough. But still, I'm getting a little hungry as it is. That said, though... Sal wandered back over to me, stepping up to join me back on the deck. I like spending time with you like this. It wasn't exactly the happiest activity, but I had fun. Oh, well, thanks for putting up with me for this, Sal. It does mean a lot. You are no bother. It's what friends do, right? Friends? Is that what we were? Part of me was feeling that maybe there was something else in there. Something that felt as if it was deeper than that. Maybe not necessarily best friends, as it wasn't the same thing I felt with Roswell or Orlando. Maybe some sort of mutual understanding of one another? Yeah, friends. Come on. Let's head inside. Sal wandered past me and headed inside, pausing when I wasn't directly behind him. I'd been watching him move, noticing how he shifted his weight for someone so large right down to his stubby tail. Shaking myself from zoning out, I followed him through the open door where we ran into the others. Sal died in the freezer. My eyes glanced over to it while I ate. We didn't get very far, and my pen was poised over the spot on the page I'd prepared to take my notes. No one seemed to have been able to pull it off if we wanted to assume the best of everyone. Which was fine, but it didn't solve the mystery of what I'd seen. The longer I stared, the less conscious of time I became until Orlando nudged me and gave me a funny look. Shaking my head at him and shoveling what was left of the sandwich I was eating into my mouth, keeping my gaze averted. I excused myself and went to stand outside, drumming my fingers against the notebook as I held it. Worried that I'd made no progress, I wondered what the next step would be. Someone had to have killed Sal, right? It had to be someone. The more I thought about it, the more I was split between wondering what I'd overlooked and what seemed to just be an accident. Dropping my notebook, I clutched my ears, moving to grab the fur atop my head. The moment I got purchase of it, I started to tug. It hurt and part of me felt like I deserved this somehow, but it didn't last long. A strong grip held my wrists by whoever was standing behind me. Don't do that. As I turned to look at Sal, I pulled my arms away from my head slowly the moment he'd let me go. Sorry. Don't be sorry. Felt like he was going to follow up with something, but didn't. Instead, he opted to reach out for my face, lightly running his claws through the fur on my cheek. You barely ate at lunch. Tyson asked me to check up on you. That sounds like something Ty would do. I sighed out and Sal pulled away. I felt silly, but it was hard to shake how much this was worrying me. It wasn't just Tyson. Dean asked me too, as did Roswell. I whined, rubbing my face harder. Hey, stop that. I know earlier didn't really help, but did you want to talk about it? Sal came to stand next to me, and much like earlier that morning, I sighed out, not sure of where to place my thoughts. This is really bothering you, isn't it? What do you think, Sal? I've seen you dead once. I've seen Benson dead. Hell, I've seen Roswell dead too. I'm just scared. He shifted next to me, clearly uncomfortable, but I continued anyway. If I never messed with the vault downstairs, this vacation would have probably gone a lot better. If you didn't, I'd be dead. He was right, and I felt guilty having said what I did. But his tone wasn't one of someone insulted or hurt over what I'd said. If anything, he was more reassuring than he should have been. I hope I thanked you for that, Dave. But what if Ty's right? What if I did imagine it? Then I wouldn't have woken up next to Orlando and given him a fright before checking in on you that morning. Whatever happened that night was enough to convince you and Orlando that I was in trouble and you were brave enough to intervene. So please don't give up. I can only imagine the burdens you must bear, and wish I could shorten them for you, but... He trailed off there, and we looked at one another uncertain. Sal, does it get easier? It shouldn't, but it does. But how? Why? What do you do to make it easier? I talk to Dean about things. I talk to Orlando about other things. It's mostly just a lot of talking if I normally get talked over. Do they just not notice? Orlando can be cute when he's babbling about something he's passionate about, so I don't mind. Sal chuckled, scratching the back of his head before continuing. Dean is less cute about it, but he apologizes eventually. And that doesn't upset you? I guess I took that for granted with Tyson. He normally just lets me ramble on about whatever until I notice and then laugh it off. He probably thinks you're being cute. You and him are close, so that makes sense to me. You think he likes that? I know I do. I backed away from the edge of the deck and looked to Sal, his expression fairly stoic. I half expected a smile after a comment like that. Sal, what do we do now? What did you want to do? For the most part, I feel like doing more of what we did this morning isn't going to get us anywhere. Should we just... Sal wandered forward and placed a hand on my head. How about we go for a swim? Really? Or you can use the hot tub. It doesn't bother me. The important part, though, is that I find it easier to relax while in the water sometimes. But what about... He placed a hand over my mouth, gently cutting me off. It takes my mind off things, if only replaced by other thoughts. But taking a break from things is something you need. After some coaxing, we headed back inside to get ready. Sal and I headed to the pool. Well, we're here. Come on, Dave, it's not that bad. I know, sorry, just... I rolled my hands in the air, not really sure what I wanted to say. Before I knew it, though, hey. Hey! Sal had lifted me up and was carrying me over the shoulder towards the water, stepping down into the water by steps. He set me down gently and I flinched at the sudden temperature change. Here, now lay back. What? Sal eased me back so that I was floating and he supported me gently from underneath. Now close your eyes. Okay. When I closed my eyes, I realized that the main thing I could hear was the sound of the water moving, it gently rippling and splashing around me. I felt Sal's hand support me under my head, keeping me above the water as I just let my mind wander. Breathing out a sigh, everything started to get quiet. I could picture my living room. The sofa that sat underneath the main window was where I sat most days, waiting for Dad to come home. When Mom and Dad were both home, we'd all sit there next to each other. But most days, it was just Dad and I watching TV. Hang on. Fuck. I thought of my bedroom, where I spent a lot of my time when the house was empty. Or was empty and Mom and Dad were downstairs being loud. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. I'd always know depending on who talked to me first after. If it was in a good way, it was Mom. If it was bad, then Dad would normally come grab me and we'd go get ice cream. Thinking about it was making me uncomfortable and I started to come back to reality. Sal supporting my head and back was something I was becoming more familiar with until eventually. I let out a gasp, eyes flying open and staring up at the sky. Dave, are you alright? You started shaking and... Our eyes met and I croaked out a reply, pushing myself gently away to wait in the pool next to Sal. Yeah, just some bad memories. What? Okay. As I waited there, that sick feeling started to return. Sorry if this isn't helping, I just thought that clearing your head might help. Watching Sal's reflection in the water, I sighed out, tearing my gaze away to the side to look at nothing in particular. I'm not very good at this after all, am I? I feel like asking what could be the worst thing to happen isn't the right thing to do here either. Right. With a sigh, Sal scratched his head. I blame Dean for this. He's normally the one that'll try and ground me like that. He'd say something like, what's the worst that could happen? Sun is still going to come out tomorrow, so if you want, we can go get burgers. Why burgers? Last time he said that, he was having a fight with his brother, otherwise it'd be pizza. If you want, we can try doing that. Going to get pizza? No, trying to figure out what's the worst thing that could happen. I quickly looked to him before looking away, keeping my voice low. I'd say... everyone dying, being forgotten, or getting yelled at? Which one? Like, personally, I can handle death, I can handle being forgotten, but getting yelled at? Getting yelled at hits the hardest, in your opinion. It hurts on a molecular level. I am holding a flash drive. Getting yelled at? Okay. Getting yelled at hurts. Getting yelled at? Dave would be everyone dying. I nodded meekly. Yeah, Dad rarely raised his voice at me, and Mom basically never did, but yelling means danger. Danger is bad, so... Which means the other day. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. Do we want to go back? Because now Sal feels sad. Now he's sad. I'm still holding a flash drive. Why am I holding a flash drive? Oh, let him feel sad, okay. Sad Sal Sunday. Hang on, what would be Monday then? Which means the other day. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. If someone's yelling at me and then I did something wrong, I don't want to do wrong by anyone. And I did something wrong. I don't want to do wrong by anyone. I don't want to let anyone down, so... Sighing out, I scratched my neck. What if people start to hate me and I don't know why? Hate me for things I did when I only ever wanted to do the right thing. I think I understand, but... And I don't mean to make light of what you said, but there are worse things that could happen. Like what? Sal muttered something under his breath. It took a few moments before he spoke again, but he looked me dead in the eye. Dave. The most precious thing to you is your friends, right? More than anything else, you care for them and think the world of them. I nodded, fidgeting. Right, of course. So the worst thing would be infighting. Tyson against Roswell, me against Dean, any number of combinations. At this point, Dave probably does need a punch in the face. If we ever got to the point of outright antagonism towards one another, the worst that could happen would be excessive violence. Right, beating each other up would be pretty bad, so... I trailed off while I looked at Sal. He said nothing to cut me off, but the stare he gave me implied that he meant something much worse. Dave. The worst thing that could happen for you would be your friends killing one another. Be it bloodshed or toxic relationships, them destroying one another, if not themselves, would be the death of you. I whined, clutching my head. Listen to me, Dave. Think about it rationally for a moment. Think about it carefully. How likely is it that your friends are to massacre one another? That you're going to have to clean up a slaughter caused by the people you care about? My whining grew louder and I started to tug at my ears. Please stop! I don't... Sal roughly grabbed me by the arms and pulled them down so they were locked by my sides. Dave, listen to me! How likely is that to happen? I stared at him, trembling, but remembering what he offered before, I opted to awkwardly collapse into him and he took the hint to hug me tight. I'm sorry, but you need to realize this. We don't want to kill each other. Normal people don't want to kill each other if they're friends. So it's okay. I put my arms around him and whimpered as he stroked my back. There's not going to be a massacre, Dave. There's not going to be any mess that you're going to have to face, so don't worry. How do you know? Shall we go down the list? Roswell has a mouth on him, but outside of not having tact, sometimes he's harmless. Orlando, much the same given he's too worried about fights ignoring that he's armed at all times with fire. Dean's strong but caring, despite having Roswell's problem of little tact at times. Haas has some claws on him, but I get the impression he's just a kitten when things get heated. Tyson, I don't think he'd ever resort to spilling blood unless you were in danger. When I didn't respond immediately, he sighed out, pulling me back and lifting my chin carefully so he can look at me. Didn't last long, but his next words came out as an unsure mumble. How about, after dinner, we wander down to the vault and check that out? Why the vault? Why not now? because right now I need a break and so do you. So after you calm down, you're gonna go sit down in the hot tub and just unwind. Password of the day, kids. Massacre. Oh no. Oh, Sal. Oh, Sal. If only you knew. He ran his claws through my fur, gently scratching the top of my scalp. I'll join you, so don't worry. It didn't take me long to get from the pool to the tub, and the hot water did help. So much so that I didn't register Sal sitting next to me for a good while. The afternoon rolled by until it was getting time for dinner. And after a quick rinse off and heading back inside to get changed, we went for dinner. It'd been a long day, so I took the time to just zone out and think. Not that I didn't do enough of that in the hot tub, but I still had a lot on my mind. Even with everyone here looking happy, a doubt lingered. Something that I knew I'd at least get to address when we were all done. Massacre Monday. Titty Tyson Tuesday. When dinner was done, I rushed upstairs to grab my notebook, then made a beeline for the room downstairs. Sal was hot on my heels when I made it back to the foyer. We headed down to the basement with Sal right behind me, to the point that the moment I'd stepped up to the vault door, he eased me back from it gently. Hold on. What's wrong? Hang on. There's no rush. You're going to work yourself up again if you go charging in like that. But I looked over to the keypad, then to the large reinforced door next to it. This was my lifeline to keeping people alive, or at least so far it had been. What would it mean if I discovered something more right now? Let's start with something. Like what? Well, for starters, what were you planning on putting in there? Were you just going to guess? I didn't think our investigation earlier helped. Chuckling nervously, I dropped my gaze to the floor. You have any ideas? Well, maybe. I thought back to talking with Oswin about how the vault worked and looking back to the keypad. He said that the vault required trauma to work, and something to do with one's survival instinct. I'm just thinking like the words that I put in may have traumatized me? Maybe you shouldn't put words like that in then. No, I mean like they traumatized me in, the future? No, wait, I scratched my head, not really understanding it after all. Maybe it was something I needed to ask Oswin about the next time we spoke. I don't get it. If I'm being honest, neither do I, but it's just, I guess that's just how these things go. I gestured to the vault door. You don't always see things like this, so who knows what the rules are? The ones who made it? I guess so, but that doesn't help me out here. What happens if you get it right? Well, the last time I sort of blacked out and, I had like a vision or a memory. You got knocked out? You're lucky you didn't fall over and hit your head. It could have been pretty serious down here by yourself. I looked around the room, wondering if Oswin was watching even now. Maybe, but I don't know. You're still going to try? There was no good answer I could have given, so instead I just focused on the keypad, breathing in deep. The moment I heard the chime, I smiled, sighing out with relief for all of a moment before I realized what was about to happen. I blacked out, and as I began to fall, I could hear Sal call out to me and me falling and crashing into something. Ooh, it was Sal with an axe? And Dean? I could hear him calling to me, but his voice was barely recognizable, as if he was talking to me while I was underwater. Youch. My head hurt, almost like a stabbing pain coming from deep within. Where the fuck did I put my remote? The fuck did it fall? Where the fuck did I put that remote? I'm gonna need it later tonight. Oh, there it is. Right there. Right there. Don't go anywhere. My head hurt, almost like a stabbing pain coming from deep within. Didn't understand. What had I just seen? Dave! Yes! Just... Yes, this is... We need more of this. I think about this every day. Except I don't, because this actually isn't the first time I've seen the CG. Because, you know, I go through game files sometimes because I like to do that. When I opened my eyes, I winced against the light, but I was resting up against someone, and it took me a few moments to realize where I was. Sal sighed out, flexing his grip on my shoulder and shifting me slightly. What a relief. What happened? He didn't reply right away, watching me as I looked around the room. No, I saw it in the game files, but I never saw it in game. Because, I go through game files. I have a bad habit of going through game files and modding games. I have a bad habit of doing that. But, I only focus on images and sound files. Unless I'm actively modding a game, then I rarely go into the script. And even then, I try and focus on a very specific portion. I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. Just take it like that. I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. Take Glory Hounds, for example. Take Glory Hounds, for example. I should stop, and I should really stop if I'm currently playing to best not to spoil myself. I know! No. With Glory Hounds, I have to, so that way my laptop doesn't fucking die. It's the same thing with Remember the Flowers. Plus, there's also the idea, with updates in case there's a new sex scene, then I gotta, plan that shit out. So, yeah. Yeah. But the only game that I actively mod is Echo. The visual novel Echo, the one that I have on my laptop, I have modded that game so much, it's not even funny. Same thing with Ad Astra. Anyways, back to the story. He didn't reply right away, watching me as I looked around the room. It was exactly how I remembered it from before blacking out. My notebook was on the floor, and Sal had me in his lap as he sat against the wall. After you put in something, you wobbled for a bit and then started to fall. You've been unconscious for maybe 5 minutes. That long? It felt so instant. What did? As I thought back, I tensed up, starting to shake. The crocodile that I saw in the vision and the one now weren't the same person, at least not as far as I could tell. Is what it was sort of like the past couple of times I'd put in a word, black out, see a vision, and then wake up. This time, what did you see? I whined quietly, unsure if I should say. Please? It was you. He tensed up even if his expression didn't change. I died? I shook my head, and the implication setting quick. Hiya. His expression turning grim. Oh. Looking away, I tried desperately to explain, hoping that I hadn't upset Sal all the while trying to figure out what this meant. I don't know, I saw you, and Dean was there, and you had the axe, but you were covered in blood and it looked like Dean was hurt, and... Dave, it's alright. Do you think we're in danger? I don't know, Sal, He hushed me quietly, rubbing my shoulder. I can think of a couple reasons why I'd kill Dean. As much of my best friend as he is, there's some things I'd kill someone over. Not specific to Dean, but more the identity of an individual I don't know of. As in someone you don't know? Someone I don't remember, maybe. It's complicated, but it has to do with my sister. I don't like talking about it, but after I'd failed to save her, there were additional problems. Failed to revive her in the hospital, so they asked my parents if they'd consider donating any of her organs after there was no chance of bringing her back. But is that so bad? I thought that was just normal. To people that needed them, yes, but for experimentation, not really. My parents didn't even flinch. They just asked how much money they'd get for her body. Sal, I'm so sorry. It wasn't you that asked. And you're not either of my parents. It's not your fault, but... He clenched his jaw, looking up to stare at the opposite wall. For a few moments, he stayed quiet before easing me off him and standing, offering a hand out to help me up. I retrieved my notebook, turning to him and seeing him thinking things over. I can't remember much of who exactly was behind that. All record of it seems to be gone, too. It's probably nothing important anyway, just a petty grudge that is better left alone. Anger is a complex emotion and rarely turned for good. I nodded, shifting uncomfortably on the spot. But what do we do about the vision? If it's anything like the last time, well, there's nothing we can do, is there? It's all on me. You saw me with an axe, so... Right, and we returned it to the greenhouse. There's no telling if it's going to find its way back to me somehow, but what I can do is promise that it won't kill anyone. Is that enough? Is it? You saved me once already, so I'm not about to go breaking a promise I'll make to you. Still, if I'm sleepwalking, that would be a different problem, but... The medication? Right, if I wanted sleeping medication, I should seek stuff made for me, rather than ask Dean. Which unfortunately means nothing until we get back home. Was there anything to say to that? I shifted awkwardly on the spot, holding back a laugh. I'm exhausted. Huh? I haven't got medicine as an option. But restlessness I'm having can't be immediately remedied. I'm tempted to go consult Haas for his recommendation for tea. Why don't you? I'd hate to be a bother. If anything, an early night might be just what I need instead, but maybe reaching out for some assistance might do me some good. Alright, I'll go ask him. Are you going to be okay, Dave? I think so. I might just turn in for the night, though. My head is still all over the place. I'm sorry. No, it's okay, I think. I just have stuff to think about. Sal nodded slowly, and the pair of us made to leave. We headed up to the foyer and broke away, with Sal wandering off to go search for Haas in case he was still on the ground while I headed upstairs. No one. Not this time. No one. I pulled off my clothes and stood there in my underwear for a few seconds before flopping onto the bed, sighing out. Thinking back to what I saw in the vault, part of me still worried if that was going to happen. Something intense enough to set Sal off to murder his best friend. Or at the very least attack him. Not that it was much better, but it was still something that seemed odd. Was he sleepwalking? Even if he was, and someone had been giving him commands, what would they have said? Who would have known? I grumbled as I thought to what he'd said about his sister, and immediately I thought to Oswin. Maybe it was just because he was a doctor that he might know something about it, but it'd be a long shot. Was it worth going to the library now to check, just in case? We were meant to meet in a day, but as I was about to get up and put on clothes again, there was a gentle knocking on my door. Come in? Hello, I brought tea. I grimaced, watching as Sal brought over 2 mugs and setting one beside me on the bedside table. The other he carefully held in both hands for a moment before resting the mug down next to mine and joining me on the bed. You okay? He nodded, scratching his neck. I hate to be a bother, but can I sleep in here with you again? Oh, sure, but why? If I tell you, you have to promise not to laugh. But what if it's really funny? Fine, don't worry about it. Go back to my room. No, Sal, I'm only kidding. What's up? So aside from the sleepwalking side of things, I may enjoy sleeping with you a little too much. Sounds fine so far. You haven't heard the reason yet. I don't have my, normal bed companion. You're a close approximation. Sorry, it's a little selfish. Who's your normal companion? Oh, not who, but what. I, normally sleep with a plush watermelon, for comfort. Not a teddy bear, although, I thought back to what I had and started checking off the list of soft toys Mom and Dad had supplied me with. Nothing out of the ordinary as far as I could tell, but I for sure had a teddy. Maybe that was why I liked Dean? I'm sorry to ask this of you, but all things considered, I'd like to try and get a decent night's sleep, and, well... He gestured loosely to me before scratching his arm awkwardly. Please. It's a nervous laugh, Sal. I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing at you. It's a nervous laugh. I waited a moment, thinking it over. Then the next moment I tackled him, hoping to push him down into the bed in a hug. Not that he budged, but slowly he lay back, a smile creeping onto his face. Thank you, Dave. He leaned down to my face with his, slowly closing his eyes before pulling back suddenly. His eyes were wide, staring at me. What's wrong? Nothing at all. I must just be very tired is all. Oh, alright. Well, did you want me to hit the light and... No, I'll do it. I want to finish my tea first, and I'll probably end up drinking yours. Then we can turn in. That works. Don't need to do my teeth anyway. I got up and brushed my teeth, and by the time I got back, Sal had hit the main light and just left the lamp on. Finishing off the rest of the tea. He looked tired and flashed me a quick smile as I came to bed. We cuddled up together, and once again I found myself laying on top of him, but not after he switched off the lamp. We lay there in silence with him staring at the ceiling until I cuddled into the crook of his neck. Ran his claws through the fur of my back, and soon enough I was asleep. We are officially on path A. Goodness, man needs a push to sleep. I had to have been dreaming again, right? This was a dream, much like the last time, but why? Why now? Had I been doing the right thing? Was he proud? Hammond Manor, a bed that I was, for the most part, slowly becoming used to. Must have fallen off Sal at some point, as he rolled onto his side and was facing away from me. Nom nom. Hang on, I just want to reread this. I'm rereading it in my head.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Oh, shit. Oh, there you are. Thank goodness. Sal rushed on over with Dean in tow, and he placed a hand heavily on my shoulder. I was worried when I didn't see you when I woke up. Excuse me? What happened? I forgot my watermelon. So, watermelon? Sal sighed, scratching his neck. My trouble sleeping didn't, get better, so I slept with Dave last night. I see. No, not like that. Just for the company. Like a teddy bear, right? Oh, right, but if you're having that much trouble sleeping, I could have just offered some more medication. Oh, Dean. Oh, Dean. Oh, Dean. No. Sal shot me a panicked look before switching back to Dean. Thank you, but I'll pass for now. They upset my stomach. Oh, well, can't have that. Sorry, if I had known, I wouldn't have offered. The pair of them sat down nearby, Dean stretching out his arms, seemingly fine with the explanation given to him regarding last night. Bad Dean. Bad. You're a bad, bad Dean. Bad Dean. Go to the corner and think about your life. Sal gave me a knowing look and I nodded, turning to Dean. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. That entire situation. Are we gonna stay with Dean or go to Orlando and Sal?
No sex for you, Dean.
What am I reading all again? Let me know when to stop. Orlando's swimsuit. Oh! Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, shit. Gonna have to reread this. Okay. Hang on, let me skip forward a bit. Okay, so I just got into the water, right? Yes. It's not too deep, is it? This is the shallow end, so no. And it's not too cold? What if it's too cold? Looking over to where Dean had ended up, he was lounging in the hot tub, resting his chin on his arm so as he watched us try to get Orlando into the pool. There was no way he was worried about the temperature of the water, and the longer I watched, the more I noticed the amused smile on Dean's face. It'll be fine, Orlando. Just get in. Okay, what if it's really cold and the sudden change of temperature makes me go into shock and... I watched Sal move as Orlando freaked out, placing a single finger between his shoulders and applying enough pressure that Orlando had to take a step forward. Hey, I'm going, alright? It'll be fine. Just go in. Maybe if Dave goes in first. I shrugged and slipped into the pool, shuddering at the change of temperature briefly. See? Even Dave noticed the temperature change! So help me, I'll pick you up and throw you in myself, Orlando. You wouldn't dare! The moment Orlando turned to confront Sal, he cowered, seeing his glare. So much so, when he took a step back, it was right on the edge of the pool. Flailing about, he reached out. Flailing about, he reached out, narrowly missing Sal and landing with a large splash next to me. Oh God! I'm gonna die! This is it! Sal looked guilty but slid into the pool right after, standing next to Orlando as he flailed in the water. Orlando, calm down. Dave, do something! I haven't learned to swim yet! He must have caught both of us standing either side of him as he stopped thrashing, kept afloat by his life jacket, and sheepishly stayed on his back. Are you going to stand up now? Let me die of embarrassment first. I smiled weakly, thinking back to the voices in my head earlier. After a minute of letting Orlando groan to himself, he stood up next to Sal and I, splashing about in the water. Okay, this isn't so bad, I suppose. What were you expecting, though? I don't know, maybe there'll be more. Something. Unless of something else. That's not a lot to go off of. Maybe something like a bath. Less bubbles. I guess it's something like that, but, I looked around the pool, trying to place what else was missing. Also less hot. It's a heated pool, but... Orlando, look, if you don't want to learn to swim, I'm not forcing you. I just assumed you still wanted the lesson. I do! I really do! Okay. Now the question. Are we going to stay with Dean, or... fuck off Dean and go hang out with Orlando and Sal? Damn it! Damn it, now that's stuck in my head. Yeah. Even after what happened with Orlando, Sal was still keen on teaching him to swim, but why? Was it because they were like brothers like Ty and I were? Or was it because he was just luring Orlando into a false sense of security so he could do something like I'd seen in the vault the night before? I shrank a little, seeing Sal flinch at Orlando's comment, but he continued all the same. I'm sorry, but this entire situation is hilarious. Like, the entire situation with Orlando is hilarious. Not the situation with everything else, like their mental shit. Alright, now where to begin? Do I need to learn how to paddle, or... Let's start with floating. Just floating. We still need to get you comfortable with the water, Orlando. It's not that bad. For now. Is there anything I can do to help? Sal scratched his chin, thinking it over. Maybe. First thing we need to do is get that life preserver off Orlando's tail. You're not taking it. I need it. You don't. Give it to Dave. But what if I sink? You're not going to sink, now hand it over. Begrudgingly, he slipped it off his tail, but held onto it all the same. Good. Now, give it to me. He held his hand out, and slowly Orlando handed it over. The moment it left his hand, Sal lobbed it over his head to the far end of the pool. What did you do that for? You want it back? You're going to swim to it. That'll be the goal for today, but I'm not going to make you do it alone. Orlando looked to me, stiff and playing with his hands as he remained firmly planted on the spot at the deep end of the pool. This is going to be good. Let's see. It's okay, Orlando. It's not too bad. Really? Yeah, I remember some of my early swimming lessons. It's not too difficult once you get started. What did you do first? Same thing as what Sal said, getting comfortable with the water. I don't know. I took him by the hand and pointed to the ring floating in the shallow end of the pool. One of the first things Dad did with me in the pool before I started lessons was to slowly walk as far as we were comfortable before the water got too deep. I guess that doesn't sound too bad. I'd just be standing, right? Not a bad idea. We'll just take it slow and then we can move on to the next thing. At a water park, I'm actually... Here's the thing. I've actually been blacklisted from the lazy river at a water park. I've been banned from ever going on the lazy river in a water park. Don't let go of my hand, Dave. Oh, simple. I kept falling off the tube and it kept pissing off the lifeguards. No. I think that's how my uncles wanted to teach me, but no, I actually did take swimming lessons. But no, like, I kept falling off the tube in the lazy river, and it kept pissing off the lifeguards, and so they were like, you're not allowed to get on the lazy river anymore, and I'm like, ah, god damn it. So I Mario jumped in a pool. Together we started to edge forward, one step at a time while Sal floated back as he watched Orlando proceed. There came a point where I couldn't go any further though, but Orlando still could, being just that little bit taller. Do we stop here? I backed up a little, shaking my fur of the water. I have to if I want to stay standing, but you can still take a few more steps. You can do it, just a little more. Sal floated forward just out of Orlando's reach and held out his arms. I won't let you drown. He nodded slowly and went to reach out for Sal, taking another step forward. Watching how he was treating Orlando reminded me of how Dad eased me into learning how to swim. Not that I was ever afraid of the water, as apparently hyenas were just fans of playing around in it. Now come closer, I can't reach! Orlando still had his head above the water but was reaching out for Sal, who was still just out of reach. Then you'll need to come closer. But then, I wouldn't be standing! Right, you'd be floating. If it'd make you feel better, I can give you back the life preserver to hold on to. No, I can do it. He seemed nervous, and looked at me briefly before sizing up the distance between him and Sal. The preserver was floating somewhere nearby, so I waded over and grabbed it before it got too far. Well, I've got it just in case, Orlando. Sal flashed me an appreciative grin while he encouraged Orlando to come closer, and a loud yawn from behind me made me realize how close to the edge of the pool I'd gotten. Awake, Dean? Barely. I grimaced, and he chuckled lazily as he rubbed his eyes. How's the lesson going? It's going alright. Still getting comfortable with the water. Sal's got it under control, I think. We looked over to where Orlando was still trying to reach out for Sal's hands with his feet planted firmly on the bottom of the pool. To his credit, he had the water up to his chin, so he was at least making progress. Seems like it. You talked to Sal yet about, well, about what? Probably not my place to bring it up if he hasn't, or you're not aware yet, but he hasn't mentioned anything about last night, has he? Last night? Lost a bit of sleep last night worrying about you. Everything doing alright? As far as I know. I laughed nervously, maybe a little too nervously given the look Dean shot me after. Dave, what's going on? First breakfast and now you're acting kind of funny. Style like Sal to bring up something unless it's bothering him, so whatever you two have been up to must have gotten to him. It's fine, really, just personal stuff, you know how it is, right? Personal stuff. Right. His gaze went distant as he nodded to himself, resting his chin back down on his arms while he looked back over to the other two. Well, what are you planning on doing now? I'm helping with the lesson. Doesn't look like it to me. Seems like Sal's doing most of the heavy lifting on that one. I'm more like a teacher's assistant. Orlando's still nervous in the water. Maybe you should make him more of a game then. Take his mind off while he's in the water. While he's trying to learn. It's how me and Freddy learned. Or at least I remember him most of being a game. It was kind of the same with me and Dad, I think. But it's strange that Orlando never learned to swim. Strange how? Not often you're going to be around water unless to make a trip to the beach. Or go to a lake or river often enough. I guess that's true, but there's a beach somewhere close to home, right? Close enough. Could get there on a train. A train, I think. Or by a bus if there was one to take you all the way. Hey, maybe that's something to look into sometime if you don't want to drive the whole way. Dean chuckled to himself and made himself comfortable, closing his eyes. The sound of splashing alerted me to Sal and Orlando getting closer. Kick Orlando! All the reply heard was just a panicked wail and the incoherent ramblings that sounded excited if terrified. Sure enough, Orlando was desperately flailing around in the water as Sal held him by the hands while they got ever closer. Sal guided Orlando to the edge of the pool where he immediately lashed onto trying to catch his breath. Well, that's a start. Evie, I patted Orlando's shoulder and he gave me a quick thumbs up before resting on the edge of the pool. Not much of a lesson, but the first big step is over. Hopefully. Yeah, and what step is that? Dean must have been listening in, although his gaze was unfocused as if he was on the verge of falling asleep again. Getting Orlando willing to move in the water. Next will be to encourage him to wear less. Ad, you could not have been placed better. No, I agree. That could have been worded better, Sal. Before you get started, Dean, less in the way of life jackets and such. They're getting in the way. No idea what you're talking about, Sal. He laughed it off while Sal shook his head, throwing a wink my way before settling into the hot tub once more. Although on the topics of stuff you wear. Good grief. Man, meaning to ask about that necklace of yours, Orlando. Amethyst? Huh? Oh, no, it's not amethyst. It's just the random, thing my grandpa gave me. I caught Sal's expression souring. Now bracing himself on the side of the pool as well. It seemed as though Dean had noticed too, the grin on his face widening. Well, I heard there are a special kind of crystals you can wear around your neck when you know. Sure it's not one of those? Huh? Beta Ada Delota would be dazzled at the life jacket. You know, I've seen some of his content, and one very consistent thing is the life jackets. That's a very consistent thing with him. Life jackets. And you know what? Based on the very little that I know about him, yeah, I think he would be. Huh? Okay, that's enough. Orlando, ignore him. He's being inappropriate. And Dean, you're getting a pass because I know you didn't sleep last night. Hey, just trying to lighten the mood a little. Oh. Okay. While Sal and Dean went back and forth, I could tell Orlando was lightening up more about being in the water. Not enough to try paddling around himself, but he wasn't as worried as when he got in. For me, I floated off from them on my back, staring at the sky. Seemed like the clouds were a bit darker than normal, and I wondered if it was going to rain. As I closed my eyes, I just tried to shut things out, focusing on the sound of the water in the pool. In a sense, it all went still. Quiet. But it wasn't peaceful. I was tired, I was upset, and the more I wondered if getting involved in the vault was a smart thing, the more stressed I became. Tonight, I might have some more insight on that if I was lucky, but I didn't exactly have high hopes. It'd be easier if everything just stopped, if everything just became someone else's problem. Let whatever happens happen. We're gonna leave off here tonight. Alrighty. Stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.